Wrestling podcast never felt this great. Tables, ladders, chairs, they tell it all. From the highest highs to the lowest fall. Grit and glory tales from the ring. Every chant, every cheer they'll bring. Devon and Duke bring the heat. Wrestling tales knock you off your seat. Tune in now, don't you be late. Wrestling podcast never felt this great.
Brothers and sisters, welcome back. Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Devon and the Duke podcast. This is a limited edition series hosted by your main man, Duke Loves Rasslin, and of course, the five-time Hall of Famer himself, the YouTube sensation, the man that cannot stop going viral, Brother Devon Dudley. What's going on there, bro?
Hey, how you doing?
Another day in paradise, man. And I'm a little concerned about that hurricane that's bearing down on my cousins down in Jamaica. But other than that, I'm all right, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. My prayers and thoughts go out to you and your family during that time, because I know it can be rough. It's scary.
It's scary, man. Category 5. They say this is the biggest storm that has ever been recorded to hit Jamaica. So it's going to be a rough couple of days over there. And then, who knows after the aftermath. But definitely thoughts and prayers 100% for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Devon, you're a guy who credibility, if we could associate you with a word, that's the number one word you got to pull up, credibility. One thing that people know is Devon Dudley's not a liar. And dare I say, you're not even an embellisher. You just kind of tell it the way it is, and that's really the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I respect it, and I appreciate you for that, because it makes my job easy. I never have to worry that you're saying something that is just off the wall. It's like, no, if the brother said it, that's what it is. He could back it up. With that said, though, recently you were completely misquoted, and your words twisted around in a manner that was just so unprofessional and ridiculous by videogamer.com. And I'm calling them folks out. I'm an award-winning alternative media specialist. I'm not just some slouch, folks. I am media trained. I have been celebrated by some of the largest media houses in the United States of America. And that's just a side thing. That's not even my main profession. But my point is, I understand basic media ethics. And to completely misquote somebody or to try to sensationalize with a booming headline something that really was never said the way that you're portraying, it's rotten, it's unethical, and quite frankly, it's unacceptable. So, Devon, I want to hear from your perspective, man. What was up with that videogamer.com and this crazy quote that they attributed to you?
Well, to say that, Devon Dudley, in a picture of me, and then to have the words underneath, WWE has been infiltrated by the Klan or the KKK, as they said. Number one, I never said that. I used the term, which I've used on this show many a times, about racism and the Ku Klux Klan, skinheads or what have you, about how a lot of them traded in their sheets for suits. And they got in the workplace, and they may not be able to do their job as Klansmen like they used to do in the 50s and 60s, riding their horses, terrorizing, African Americans or whatever other, race out there. But they are finding ways of doing it underhandedly by, again, trading in their sheets for suits. And they do it that way. That's what was said. Never once did I say that the WWE is being infiltrated by the Klan. And when I read that, I was like, that is not true. I did not say that. That's one. And it all stemmed back because of me finally, feeling comfortable letting the cat out the bag in terms of who was like that towards me in the WWE back in the Attitude Era. And listen, I'm going to say this. The WWE has been great to me. They fed me. They've, put a roof over my head. You name it, they've done it. So you're gonna have those people that go, "Oh, well, Devon's, on that WWE bandwagon." You're damn right I am. You don't bite the hand that feeds you. That's one. Number two, why would I? Because you don't like them or you have an issue with them, so I'm supposed to bury them or not say good things about them? I'm going to, because I'm going to say good things about them. That's one. Number two, don't put words in my mouth that I didn't say. And that whole podcast that I did, the transcripts of what I said and the interview itself was right there on the link itself. So how they took that and switched it around is beyond me. But, again, people were speculating that I was talking about before. They thought I was talking about Michael Hayes, or they thought I was talking about Vince or John Laurinaitis. Let me just make this perfectly clear. Vince McMahon has helped me to become a superstar. Now, again, I'm not getting involved in the stuff that happened, with his downfall of leaving the company. I don't get involved in that. That's not my business. But what I can say is that the man has been good to me. Has there been times where, I got frustrated with him, whether it was talent or producer? Absolutely. We all do with each other. But that doesn't mean I hate the man. It doesn't mean I'm going to start talking mess about him. So, no, he wasn't one that did anything to me. Michael Hayes did nothing but help me during my producer role, to help me to become a better producer. So, no, not Michael Hayes. John Laurinaitis. A lot of people don't like John, and I understand that. And for reasons that they have. But again, John Laurinaitis took care of me as a producer. Never once did he badmouth me in any way, shape, or form. He always took care of me. So it wasn't John Laurinaitis. Um, and let's see and Pat Patterson. Hell no, it wasn't Pat. Pat gave me and Bubba so much knowledge about this wrestling business. It's not even funny. He actually helped Bubba with his mind, along with Heyman and Terry Funk and Bam Bam Bigelow, Ravishing Rick Rude, and all of those names that have came before us. He's helped us. Patterson did. Took us under his wing and basically taught us, a lot of the right things to do and the wrong things to do in the business. So no, it wasn't them. Okay. Did I come out and say 10-gallon hat? Yes. Did Maven let the cat out the bag? Yes. Was it JR? Yes. I did have a problem with JR back then. And I didn't know why. I'm not angry at the man today. I know the man is going through some health problems, some health issues, and just to show you where I am and the place that I'm in, I pray to God, can heal his body, but was I disappointed with that man when he said the things he said to me back then? Yes, I was. Now, he can sit there and deny it all he wants. But again, Bubba was there, and Bubba said that he remembers the incident on my podcast. Paul Heyman was there, Spike Dudley was there, and Tommy Dreamer was there. So you got all these other people that were there who aren't black, by the way. Okay. I want to point that out, who aren't black. Okay. And I say that because, a lot of people say, oh, well, if they were black, they all stick together and then that blah, blah, blah. Because of racism, they're pulling the race card. No one's pulling the race card. And I'm not just coming out and saying this because I'm retired and I'm not with a company now. The question was asked, and I got tired of people saying, who is it? Who is it? Number one, if I didn't want to say it back then, I have the right to not say who the person was. You just want to know who it is. I don't have to make you feel good by telling you who it was. So why now? Because I wanted to. That was my way. That was my way of letting it go. Now, how you guys choose to handle it in social media, that's up to you. I don't wish that man any bad illness, nothing like that. I was very hurt, very bothered by what the man had said on two separate occasions. And like I said about Hogan, I'm not asking you to forget what was said, but you have to forgive. And I've forgiven him in my heart. I have not talked to him. I have not, and when I see him, I don't say anything to him. Because not once had he come to me and apologized for the things that he said. And he might say he don't remember. That's fine. But out of respect for the company in itself, I'm not putting the WWE in a bad light because a lot of times, we don't know the people who we hire. We don't know what type of people they are. And I'm not going to downplay Vince for hiring someone like him at the time. Business is business, but to let that ugliness come out, that's I have the big problem with, especially when you're in charge of so many talent, you know, um, and when Vince has got everything on his table, he's instilling you to take care of things, and then you go that route and do that. That's where I have the problem. So, you know, I don't hold any ill feelings towards the man. Again, I won't forget, but I do have to forgive him. And whether he wants to, be, stubborn about it or what have you, that's on him. But my heart of hearts is letting it go. And that's all I got to say about that. But that company that said what they said, I don't get it. I don't get why you would say something like that and why you would put that out there so people can just click onto your site. When if you click onto it, to the story, you see that everything that was said was right there. So why would you put that in there when it wasn't even said in the conversation that we were having?
And there's so much to cover what you said. First and foremost, though, Devon, let me just say I didn't do it, but nonetheless, somebody has to say this to you. I apologize to you for even having to go through this, where there's a whole transcript of everything that was said, and yet they took your words and twisted them around to say something different. You were talking about one individual, and they turned it into some kind of you know major issue in the company. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on here, but
And here's what I got to say.
yeah,
The dirt sheet writers that we know listen to this show and listen and hang on every word I say, please print it right. Please do your job.
please,
Please do your job. Don't sit up here and write a big booming story. Devon said this. Devon, just print it right. That's all I ask.
yeah, yeah. Well, and
Right.
and a couple of things here. Um, First and foremost, videogamer.com. If you just go onto their website, folks, and I'm doing that as we speak right now. I'm literally scanning through it. Again, I am actually media trained. Devon is actually media trained. He's actually educated in it. That's a whole other level. Um, One of the things that I noticed, the article that they wrote about Devon is not attributed to any one individual. It just says videogamer.com staff. That tells me that they know they're wrong. And here's why I say that. When I comb through and I look at all of their features, and I'm going through pages and pages of what they call features. There's a features section on their website. All of these articles are attributed to individuals. Mars Evergreen, Gail Bartlett, Daryl Baxter. It's like George Peru. These are all people's names, so you know who wrote it, and you can actually speak to that person directly about their work. In the case of Devon, they attributed it to staff. They don't even have the ovaries to put their name on. What does that tell you? You know you're wrong, folks. You know you're wrong. Videogamer.com, whoever did it, whoever the editor was, whoever approved it and let it go up, you're full of crap.
Stop.
You're full of crap. There's no other way to describe it there. So there's that. Um, Moving on to the point you were making, though, beyond that, you have gone out of your way to highlight Patterson, to highlight Michael Hayes, to speak about your personal experience with Laurinaitis and how he was actually pretty good to you, to talk about how much you appreciate Vince and the entire McMahon family for what they've done for you and your family. You've gone out of your way to And we got the evidence. This show, all these episodes, it's all there. It's all there. You just coming off the top of your head, man, and just talking about all of these people. Michael Hayes in particular, you keep talking about how much of a great wrestling mind he is. And you have mentioned him on many episodes, pointing out how great of a wrestling mind he is. So for anyone who was trying to figure out who you were talking about, give me a break. You know what I mean? Now, let me get to JR. I don't know Jim Ross personally, but I have watched Jim Ross for the better part of the past 42 years. I pretty much watched his entire television career. I've read his books. I've listened to his radio show before podcasting. I've listened to his podcasts. I've listened to Jim Ross in his own words. I've interviewed a bunch of people who have worked directly with him, people who have tried to work with him and it didn't work out, et cetera, et cetera. One of the things that I notice about Jim Ross, his hero is John Wayne, who was a raging racist. This is the person that Jim Ross idolizes, and the man is a racist. One of Jim Ross's mentors is Cowboy Bill Watts, a man who was fired from WCW over racism. You can say whatever you want, folks. I take a look at that and I say, well, that's interesting. Do you know what I mean? I'm starting to see a pattern here. Now, I had a female talent who has been on this show on Duke Loves Rasslin, excuse me, over the past 10 years, numbers of times. And she told me an interesting story, and she did it as a blind item in one of her interviews. But, she gave me some more details offline. I'm not going to say her name because it's really her story to fully tell, and she will someday. But she told me a story of reaching out to the WWE many moons ago when Jim Ross was in charge of talent relations. And he was excited. Oh, yeah, we'll bring you in, this and that. This is what we'll pay you, yada, yada, yada. And then he turns around and he asks this woman, and she's white, are you still with that black guy? And she says, yes, that is my fiance. And then he retorted back with, well, we can't bring you in as long as you're with him.
Wow.
Now here is the kicker on. Now, hold on. Table that for a second. Years later, Jim Ross's wife had a tragic accident. Somebody hit her when she was on her scooter or whatever, and she ended up passing away. Tragic. Everyone gave condolences, the whole 9 yards. This same talent reached out to Jim Ross and offered condolences. And Jim Ross responded, thank you, yada, yada. And then professes that he always had a thing for her and was trying to pick her up on a date. Now, somebody's going to say, oh my God, you're making this up, yada, yada. I'm just going to say this, folks. There are receipts. Everything that I just relayed to you actually happened in email. And one of those emails is like over 20 years old, basically. And the talent still has it. And I've seen it. This is not a made-up story. Neither one of those. These are facts. All I'm going to say is there is too much smoke going on here, JR. There's something wrong here. And everyone listening, you can come to your own conclusions, but there's something wrong here. So when Devon, a man with a reputation for telling the truth, Devon's not a liar. That's the number one thing I hear from people all the time. Yeah, Devon's not a liar, man. For him to say what he's saying about his own personal experience, and he has people who were there to witness it. If you're out there trying to pass this off or go the other way, because I see some of you goofballs out there. I see some of the garbage that you're writing, especially some of you AEW apologists. This wasn't an AEW thing. To try to discredit Devon, who's telling his personal experience about something that happened to him, and it's a fact, give me a break, guys. Instead of asking JR, what the hell is your problem? And hopefully you have reformed from those racist ways, because that's exactly what it is to me. That's my opinion. This is just straight up racism, bro. You got racist heroes and racist mentors. You're sending racist emails, bro. That's what it is. Talking to a talent like Devon and I don't like you because you're black and all the racist commenters. So, do with that what you may, folks, but I just don't have time for it. I think it's rotten. And video gamer, what's the motivation for a Hall of Famer, a 5-time Hall of Famer like Devon Dudley, respected across the world, beloved? WWE signs the Dudley Boys to a new Legends deal, and they're actively making new merchandise. That's how strong the Dudley Boys brand is. That's how important these guys still are. That's how relevant they still are, right? For you to misquote a guy like this, what do you think he's going to say to all of his peers if they ask him, hey, should I do an interview with videogamer.com? You guys blew it. You blew it. Simple as that. You blew it. So, you want to add anything more before I move on there, bro?
I mean, I think you hit the nail right on the button with everything. It's just, it's one of those things. Like I said, I'm at a loss for words with a lot of things about how some of the fans are taking it. I mean, why would I lie? Why am I picking on somebody that was at one point loved in this business because of his voice and what he did, behind that microphone? And I'm not trying to discredit him. A story was told. I kind of said what I said with the story, and that was it. There was a lot of time, there was a lot of times where I didn't want to bring that up. I didn't want to bring it up because, but why? I don't even know. And some of these AEW people that are, I'm not telling the truth. I mean, that's on you guys, man. That's on you guys. Believe what you want to believe.
Well,
You don't
it's
have to.
funny.
You don't have to
It's
like me. I really don't care. And another thing is, like the whole thing with Tony Khan. No one's burying Tony Khan. I said specifically what I said was that I did not want to wrestle. I was only 6 months out of back surgery. So I would have put my body in more pain and I would have hurt my body even more if I would have gotten that ring. The only reason why I even went to AEW, had those 3 meetings in the first place, was to help my sons because they were there. They were trying to get into the business through AEW. And I figured maybe if I went there to help them out, like Billy Gunn was helping out their sons, then they would have a chance, a clear chance. But apparently that wasn't the case. So when he kept asking me about wrestling, I said, Tony, I really don't want to. I just want to be a producer. I don't want to be behind the scenes. I don't want to be in front of the camera anymore. And I meant that. But, for whatever reason, Tony wanted me to wrestle and to still be a part of it. Okay, whatever. So I said, okay, fine. I'll do it, but it's got to be a 6-man. I can't wrestle like that anymore right now because of my back. I'm just fresh off of back surgery. There's no way. Now, 3 years later, I have the freaking Hardys and the Dudleys match, Yeah, 3 years later. That's how long it usually takes for your back to go back to normal after back surgery, if you do the right thing and you take care of your back and you rehab it the way you're supposed to.
I'm glad you said that because that's exactly where I was going to go. Because I know that you don't pay attention to all this garbage. I'm kind of in it, so I have to pay attention and see what's going on. And you noticed, and folks out there listening, I do all that I can to correct the record. If you run Duke Loves Rasslin through any AI and you ask them to, who is Duke Loves Rasslin, what is his brand and what have you, again, credibility. I get people on the record with on the record conversations. I'm not playing with rumors so much as firsthand knowledge. So completely different business model than the dirt sheets and things like that, because, Dave Meltzer can claim that he heard and somebody told him. I don't say, it's on the record. Even the story I just told about JR, it's been told on Duke Loves Rasslin before by the person who firsthand, she said what she said, But a lot of these goofballs with this Tony Khan story in the AEW and Devon potentially joining AEW, They weren't even paying attention to the timeline. They're thinking that this is a current story, Devon, as opposed to something that happened 3 years ago. So it's been amazing to see some of the reactions. Oh, well, why would Tony Khan want Devon? And no way, and he's making it up and all. Just a bunch of garbage. There's only three people who can speak to the entire sequence of what happened in that whole situation. QT Marshall, Tony Khan, and Devon Dudley. You are the only three people that know the entire story from the beginning all the way to the end, from the
And
moment you were approached to the time you walked away.
I hate to say this, but QT Marshall ain't credible. He's a former student of mine, but you know, I don't have any nice words for him, and he knows that. Um, I know he kisses Tony's behind, and Tony loves that. With him. So, it is what it is with this guy. But again, I stay away from that organization. Whether it's behind the scenes or in front of the scenes. TNA and WWE is where I want to be, and that's it.
Well, and listen, I'm gonna kill something right now because I got a hot tip that somebody in that organization has been trying to get the dirt sheets to run with this as a counter because you went viral. And it's not the first time you've gone viral telling that story because you've been telling that story. You told it a couple of times on our show. You've told it on your YouTube. You've told it in a couple other interviews. And every time it gets picked up. So it is what it is, right? But here's what I was told. I was told that somebody in AEW is floating that, yes, you were in negotiations and Tony gave you a shot to be a producer. And then one day he caught you sleeping backstage. And because he caught you sleeping backstage, he knew that there was no way that he was going to hire you. And that's the reason why you didn't end up in AEW. That is the story that someone in AEW is trying to plant against you, Devon. So I'm killing it right now. So let me ask you, did you get caught sleeping backstage when you were supposed to be working in AEW?
Did I get caught sleeping? Probably. I'm sitting up there all day. I got there like what? I think it was like 11 o'clock. Did I close my eyes? Yeah. Of course I did. I was tired.
Were you in some kind of working capacity when that happened?
No, no,
So no pen
no.
to paper. You weren't producing any matches or anything like
No,
that.
I was sitting around. No, I was sitting around waiting to have the meeting with Tony on 3 different occasions.
Well, folks, when you see the dirt sheets try to run with that, again, you're getting it firsthand from one of only two people who could tell the story, and really the only
Wait a minute.
person
They
who could tell the
said,
complete story.
is that what's being said now?
Brother, I was told that is something that someone in AEW is trying to get the dirt sheets to print now. They want them to run with that. Tony took a pass on you because you were sleeping backstage. And he was so disgusted by that's why there was no way he was going to give you an AEW deal because you're sleeping on the job. That's what I was told.
Okay, yeah. Number one, no, that's not the case. Number one, that's one. Number two, I was sitting around waiting to have a meeting. I get there, like I said, I think it would get there at 11, 12 o'clock, and I'm sitting there waiting, waiting. Yeah, I'm bored. I'm saying hello to everybody that I know there. That's about it. But then once I'm sitting down watching it, yeah, I closed my eyes. Was I sitting up there snoring and all of that? No. Was I sitting up there with my eyes closed? Yeah. Because Jordan, who was my agent, was right there next to me. So no. I wasn't sleeping like I took a pillow and just went to bed. No. I'm sitting up there waiting for this man. And then again, I get there at 12. I didn't wind up seeing him until about 2, maybe 3 o'clock in the morning.
Damn.
On all three occasions.
And you were there from 11, 12 in the morning, afternoon?
In the afternoon, yep.
Oh, my God.
So
Oh my God.
instead of just saying, "Hey, have the meeting with me real quick, let's talk," and this and that, blah blah blah, then go on about your business and you go ahead and do your show, that wasn't even the case.
Listen, you folks better be careful out there because one thing about Duke Loves Wrestling, 10 years, half of the dirt sheet people I have had on the show at some point, and I still have some relationships. Even the people who openly will criticize and trash me and things like that, don't think for one second that some of these folks are not still talking to me. My background is in government, folks. I know how to work together across the aisle. I'm not a fool. So, yeah, Tony, I was able to get that heads up that somebody in your company, I'm not saying it's you, Tony, but somebody in your company is trying to plant that story. So we just stomped on that real quick. You're welcome. It's it's
Yeah,
it's. I'm about to swear now. I gotta catch myself. You know what I'm saying? You know I like to swear on air, but it's bullshit.
I
It's
mean,
literally bullshit, bro.
you got me sitting up there again, waiting. Me, I mean, the disrespect there. I mean, think about it. Supposedly you at the ECW arena, you were cheering all of us on, and this and that, and now all of a sudden, you're freaking. You want, I'm coming here to have a meeting with you to become a producer, and this and that, and then you gotta say the reason why you passed is I was sleeping on the job. Please.
Well, he didn't even pass on you. You're the one who passed on them.
Now I was like, no, forget it.
Yeah, you walked away from the table, not the other way around. Let's
So
make
we
sure we
don't,
get the sequence right, folks. You know?
I told my agent John, I said, no, you know what? It's better if I just stay where I am, stay put.
Yeah.
And thank
So
God I did because of
I
everything
know.
that's going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because all this stuff that's going on right now, including the YouTube channel, everything, going out there doing the autograph signings, the school, I would have never been able to do all that working for that company. For those that work for the company, God bless you. It's great, but it's not for me.
Unfortunately, in my opinion, supported by facts, everyone who goes to that company takes a hit in terms of their brand vitality because Tony doesn't know how to market. So, you got people like Chris Jericho getting interviewed, and people are saying, so what are you retired? And he's like, no, I still wrestle. Oh, you still wrestle in WWE? I haven't seen you. And he's like, no, I'm in AEW. AE what? I don't even know what that is.
And
you
the thing
know?
about it is, Duke, I've never buried the man. I've sat there and said, I've got no gripes with him. I've got no hard feelings. I just don't think I don't think he's the right booker for the company. Even
Yeah.
though he's the guy that financially takes care of everybody. Listen, Dixie Carter financially took care of everybody in TNA at the time, but she wasn't a booker, So I've always said, get somebody that can come in and help you book instead of the people that you have surrounding you, you know? And I put the company over in terms of talent. I'll always put the company over in terms of talent. I think the talent is great there, but it's not the talent's fault if the ratings or the houses is not up. It's not their fault. Because I can imagine if WWE had every single one of those talent that's there right now,
Oh yeah.
that place
Yeah.
would be unstoppable. NXT,
Yeah.
unstoppable.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at Ethan Page. Look at Blake Monroe. Look at Cody
Mm-hmm.
coming back. I can go down the list, man. Look at them. Look at Penta. Penta made over
Mm-hmm.
$1 million just selling masks alone WrestleMania weekend. Just selling masks, he made $1 million off that merch. He made that. How much do you think the company made? He
Mm-hmm.
never had a check like that from AEW. Not a merch check. Give me a break. You know, that Blake Monroe, she's turned out to be a hell of a talent. And she's a young
Yeah.
kid too. So she's gonna be around a long time.
How old is she?
I think she's only 24 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what's interesting about her? And people went back and pulled up her old tweets and stuff like that too. So this is legit. Her idol is Naomi. She is a Naomi super fan. She loves Naomi. So I find that interesting. There was no way she was going to stay in AEW when Naomi is her idol. Because obviously I'm sure this kid's dream is to one day be in the ring with Naomi. So, but she's turned out to be a hell of a talent, man. She's killing it in NXT. So it's interesting. All of it is interesting, but I just hope folks get their facts straight. Shout out to the Nation of African American Wrestlers. It's a brand and a group, primarily on Facebook, but I know they're on Twitter and other places too. But their main thing is on Facebook. They got like 10,000 followers and all that good stuff because it's a public group. But I saw somebody in there say something like, I can see Devon wanting to be in AEW, but I can't see Tony being interested in Devon or the Dudley Boys or this and that. Let me tell you something. Tony Khan wanted to do TLC in AEW. And if he would have made that deal with you, there's no way he wouldn't have tried to get Bubba as well. It would have happened. If you were healthy enough to do it, it would have happened. Of course he wanted the Dudley Boys. Of course he did. So, for you goofballs out there who want to speculate, you don't got to speculate when a person who actually is living it can tell you exactly what happened. And I'll just put it to rest that way. It's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. Speaking of crazy, Sarah Stock. Shout out to Sarah Stock. Wrestler, trainer, really, really cool lady. In fact, I know you have a high opinion of her as well, right?
Yeah, I do. I have a very high opinion on her. Very nice. She's one of a kind. She's like my little sister. In the wrestling world, her and I basically battled the same battles in WWE as producers.
Oh wow! I didn't realize. I knew that she was a trainer. I didn't realize she was actually a producer as well.
Yeah, she was a producer.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep. Well, she got into she caught some of the wrath of the AEW nut jobs online, the humanoids. Sarah had made the mistake of giving her opinion about the Darby Allin John Moxley match. At one point during the match, Moxley shoves Darby Allin's face into a fishbowl and basically tries to drown him. So Sarah pointed out that, this is not good for kids. Next thing you know, they're going to be trying to do this type of stuff, and we got to be more responsible. And the AEW humanoids online, they have piled on top of her. It's still happening even today, Devon. They are just trashing this woman, giving her a hard time. I spoke to her briefly about it, and she told me that she's all right, and she's going to keep speaking her mind because it is the truth. It's just amazing how if you question anything about AEW, these folks come out of the woodwork and just attack you. They just and the talent as well. MJF, who's a low life in my opinion, they just attack you because he's talking trash about her too. What are your thoughts on that, Devon? Just the whole notion that for an expert, you guys are wrestlers. You lived it. Sarah Stark lived it. For her to have the audacity to give a wrestling opinion and to get attacked, including, Luke Harper's wife, Brody Lee, God rest his soul, his wife, she even jumped in the fray and started trashing Sarah Stark, and they kind of had a little back and forth with each other as well. And she's trying to tell Sarah Stark that somehow, some way, she knows what wrestling is all about and all this. Lady, you were married to a wrestler. You were never a wrestler. Stop it. Stop it right now. You're going to tell a wrestler how things go? Stop it. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Devon?
I didn't even know any of this was going on. I feel bad for Sarah. Because again, you're going to get ridiculed for giving your opinion is crazy. It's absolutely nuts. Man, did not know. And I was speaking to Bubba, about this because Bubba had his opinion on his show on Busted Open, LaGreca. and he says that these AEW fans are just they're out of control.
It's like a cult, bro. It's literally like a cult.
He says it's out of control. He says the way they are sometimes, and I guess we're beginning to see it firsthand.
Yeah, it's a sickness, man. It's a
Yeah.
sickness. You know, my only way to sort it out, to understand it, is that I think they're afraid of losing AEW. So because of that, they fight for it tooth and nail, no matter what happens, because they're afraid that if we start talking too much about the truth, that may turn enough people off that they might lose the company. So if you say, you know, AEW doesn't smell good today, then man, you'll get an inbox full of death threats and everything. It's like,
wow, I don't even know what to say on that. Again, for all you AEW people out there, relax, man. Nobody's burying the company. Nobody's burying Tony. Just relax. You know, we have the right to have our input on how we feel. And just like you have your rights to say whatever you want to say. So relax. No one's burying the company. No one's looking for AEW to go out of business. Trust me, we're not. Because not one company can have the monopoly.
Yeah. Yeah, complete opposite. You've gone out of your way to try to help them, ironically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that is what it is. Devon, if anybody wants to train with one of the greatest of all time and learn how to be a respectable, quality talent who is not a liar, what's the best way they could get in touch with you to get some training?
Well, they can go to Devon Dudley Academy on Instagram, Devon Dudley Academy on Twitter, and of course, Testify Devon on my Instagram.
And how about that YouTube channel that's burning up? How about that YouTube?
Oh yeah, and the YouTube channel as well. YouTube channel is great. You know, we did an episode, me, Bubba, and Maven, and we're already over, I think, 600,000 views, which is very, very good. And you know, we could probably hit 1 million probably within the next month and a half to 2 months.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. I mean, you guys have dominated the wrestling news cycle, so to speak, and the things that you talked about on there and on here. And unfortunately, some of this videogamer.com. So, I mean, everybody wants to hear what Devon Dudley has to say. I think that's the main idea out there. So kudos to you, brother. You're making it happen. As always, folks, Duke Loves Rasslin on Facebook, on Twitter, dukelovesrasslin@gmail.com. Let me know what you think. I had a NCAA softball player who just got her law degree as well reach out to me the other day, Devon, and give kudos to the show. She says she's an avid listener and she loves hearing each episode and some of the cool things that we talk about. And I was like, wow, okay. You know, so if the ladies are listening, then you know you're doing it right, right?
Exactly.
Because this it's two guys talking about, you know, wrestling things related to it. So Mackenzie, thank you. Shout out. We appreciate you and all the other wonderful fans out there, of course. You know. All right, it's that time of the week here, brother. What do you have for your word of the week?
Unless you hear from the horse's mouth, don't believe it.
Testify.
My brother.
Strictly for the culture every day. Stepping style in your unique way. Patterns and colors so defined. All about the perfect line. Be yourself, let your spirit fly. In this fashion, you'll touch the sky. Strictly for the culture, brand so fine. Dress to impress and show your shine. Strictly for the culture, every day. Step in style in your unique way.
Visit www.strictlyfortheculture.ca
whispers and the crowds roar. From matching giants to legends of yore. Devon's wisdom and Duke's keen view. Every episode feels like it's brand new. Devon and Duke bring the heat. Wrestling tales knock you off your seat. Tune in now, don't you be late. Wrestling podcast never